Hey everybody, don't get anxious, get prepared. Your career engineer right here. We want to welcome you to our show today. Remember, you can find everything about us at tcenow.com. You can learn about our newsletter. You can learn about our Twitter. You can find us everywhere on social, anywhere, all day long. And we want to make sure you do that. So check us out at tcenow.com. Today, we're going to have a real conversation about 1 year later. Yeah, 1 year later. In fact, I'm going to find the thing for you. Here we go. 1 year later, right? We've been dealing with this COVID situation 1 year later. So I did this broadcast, COVID-19 in your career or your job search or your business a year ago, like today, is 1 year later. We're going to find out where we are, what we're doing. Are we shifting? Are we behind? Are we above? We're going to talk about it. So while we're live today, make sure you get your pen and paper as well as use your digital devices, and I'll be taking your questions live, as well as feel free to network if you want to, because you can do that here as well. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back getting into COVID-19 2.0 1 year later. All right, guys, again, career engineer right here. Remember, we want to thank you for watching us on our different devices, our YouTube, our LinkedIn folks, as well as our Twitter. Welcome to the broadcast. Let's get into it. Oh, I know Chris Como says that, right? But I love how he says that. So let's get into this. So remember, also, you can catch us on our radio show this Thursday at 12 noon. Check it out, radioshow.tcenow.com. 15 minutes. You can call in. It's a live broadcast. Remember, today I will be taking your questions and your comments. So get into it. We're live together. Those of you catch the replay, you can place your questions later. I'll get to them, but ain't nothing like being here live. So let's get into this. COVID-19 in your job search. Again, I talked about this a little bit on television today, and I may even hit it on some of our radio broadcasts, but it's important to look at where we are and what we're doing. I mean, 1 year later, a whole year has gone by. We were in panic mode, and now we are hopefully in strategy mode, right? Strategy mode. So I think I want to definitely talk about some things that coming from that 1 year later perspective. I encourage your comments. I encourage your questions. So as we go about this, and again, good morning and welcome. Good afternoon, my LinkedIn folks, my Twitter folks, as well as my YouTube. Thank you, YouTube. You got us over 800 subscribers. You guys are crushing it. Thank you. And we're here to provide really good content to you. All right, here's the question I get when people ask me about 1 year later. Are folks still hiring? Are companies still interviewing? And the short answer is absolutely they are. The longer answer is, but you got to do a whole lot more to get it. You got to work for it. It ain't going to just drop in your lap. Those days are over. You've got to really work for it. So what do you need to do 1 year later? You got to really do some significant, intentional, and strategic job development. You can't just wing this thing. If you've been winging it for a year, you have what you have. But if you strategically get into it, I mean, think about the companies where you buy goods and services. Think about the places where you go. If you're not using LinkedIn, shame on you. It's a great place that has lots of opportunities. Lots of, if you set up your LinkedIn the right way, you'll get job alerts. If you're using Google the right way, you can get job alerts. All right. You can even look at some of your local niche boards at your unemployment centers, or if you're alumni of colleges or university, you can sign up and get alerts. So there's a whole nother way for you to get the data that you then have to sift through, but you can't wing it like you did a couple years ago. You got to be specific and you got to be strategic. And I will tell you, they're hiring. Folks I know have gotten hired. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's more work. And yes, you got to put more into it. And it's still subjective. Your resume still matters. How you interview matters. But even still, companies are having, I think I shared, like maybe last week, I sat on a panel with a couple of some HR people who hire. And they shared their frustration with some of the candidate presentation that keeps them from hiring folks. So you still have a way of driving this process. And yes, they can pick who they like. We get that. Experience matters. Education matters. Both is great. But you still can put your best foot out there. So yes, they're hiring. And it's up to you to find it out. Really. I mean, they're out there. Now, if you're getting our newsletter, we share about 200,000 job leads every week. And there should be more. But that's what we're sharing, every week. Okay. The other question that I get, what's happening 1 year later? And I got to jump on skills. I got to jump on skills. We have got to tech it up. We really do. And a year later, I'm kind of surprised that when I get folks reaching out to me for help, which is awesome, I want to help as many folks as I can. But when I hear someone says, well, I've been out here, it's been several months, so I got laid off from the last job and trying to get to, but however, I don't do email. I hate my phone and I don't do any Google searching. I'm not about social. I don't mess with the computer. The more I hear that, I go, that's why you're looking for a job and you're going to be looking for a long time. I get it. Not everyone should be dependent on that. I understand. There's some of us who, well, I can't do that. So we need to have a lower tech way. I was on the phone today on a customer call line for a long time, waiting for someone to answer the phone. I understand that was put in place because a lot of folks don't have the ability to go online, or maybe they just don't have the vehicles to go online. I get it. But if you do, I'm talking to those of you who do have access and you do have ability. If you're still stuck on, I cannot, and I call it the 4 S's, I still don't know how to set up something. I still don't know how to sign into something. I still don't know how to save something. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. Okay. Now, a year later, 1 year later, if you know how to do that, which I call the level 1 4 S's, again, sign in, set up, what else did I say? Search, using the search button. Search button, those 4 S's. If you know how to do that and you were a rock star with that last year, then right now, 1 year later, you should be at a level 2. You should be troubleshooting more. You should understand, you should be able to have manipulated your phone in a way to make that phone be like your virtual assistant. You should be able to understand search terms and better ways of going deeper online with being mobile and knowing how to navigate different systems. Okay. But if you're still, even if you were at a level 1 last year, if you're still in the same place this year, you're going to have a tough time moving to next. So 1 year later, have you teched it up? Have you teched up those skills 1 year later? Very important. The other thing that folks need to recognize, and because we have data now, we can, the she sections, it's so hard saying that word, the she session is real. We've seen the data now, and you've seen probably some news footage on it that for whatever reason, the sisterhood has had a worse time in this job search and keeping and coping than the brotherhood. Whether you're a single lady, whether you're a lady with children, whether you're a person taking care of elders or a family member, it's been tough. I think at the last time I looked at some data, it was about 5 million women have been impacted. And some have just let go of the labor market altogether. Just forget it. I'll just wait and try later. Okay. So that's real. But what can you do? Well, there are resources out here. One thing I told you guys, remember, I'm a big fan of this. Policy affects your pockets and your pocketbooks. If you are not paying attention to politics, shame on you. You need to make sure you reach out to your representatives. You see there's some bills out here to help to change things a bit. Particularly, there's some funds. There's a couple of bills out here with some funds to deal with the she session and the she recovery that might come on, that should be coming forth. So be active. Let your congressman or your representative understand your position on that. But also, look at those job boards if remote work is what you need. And I know that would be preferable, particularly when you got young people and you've got, folks you're taking care of, or just with your life sinking. Well, there are companies looking for remote work. And if you are in a remote work only situation, yep, it might take you a little longer, but it's possible, it's doable. So make sure your job search methods and your filters, you're looking for remote work only. But warning, there's some predators out there. There's some hustlers out there with that remote work only. So be aware of that. And just like when things do shift to next, and daycare and schools hopefully are back where they used to be, still make sure your resource strategy is strong. Even before this, we would have families and moms and folks taking care of others. Your resource game had to be strong because you had to have someone look after Johnny or mama or daddy or cousin while you went to work. So it doesn't mean we don't still figure out how to figure that out, but please be aware that, that is happening right now. So it's real. I had some people say, oh, it ain't so. Nah, it's real. I actually did a segment on it with Wavy, so you need to check that out. So 1 year later, what else is going on? Is help available? 1 year later, right? For anyone going through this, is help available? And the short answer is absolutely yes. Now, I live in the Virginia area, so obviously in my neck of the woods, make sure you reach out to your workforce boards, and you can go to dol.gov and you can find your workforce board or your unemployment office in Virginia. We call it the Virginia Employment Commission, and the link is there. But if you are somewhere else, you have the same service. DOL has a list of help centers, so you can reach out government wise. Probably put in your zip code. Do some searching. See if you can navigate that website to get the workforce center or your unemployment office if you've been impacted 1 year later, okay, or still impacted 1 year later. Help is available. Of course, there are nonprofits, and some folks in the faith community have also helped out as well. But your workforce boards would be, I think, the center of gravity to find out what's there. Nothing wrong with asking for help from friends and neighbors to help get you through as well. We have a lot of folks, and every Thursday we share the numbers of the folks who just did initial layoff. I think the last week we were over 800,000. So folks, it's still happening. So, but there is help out there, and you will have to reach it. Okay. So I want to thank you guys for being a part of this today. Remember, we're with you 12 noon every single Monday right here on YouTube and a couple of our other platforms. Again, if you haven't got our newsletter, make sure you subscribe. It will go out again this Friday at 7 in the morning, not at night, guys, 7 in the morning. It's easy for you to join that family just by going to subscribe.tcenow.com, subscribe.tcenow.com. Thanks for letting me come in and chat with you for a little bit. Remember, I want to make sure you have a fantastic week. Don't get anxious, get prepared, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Be safe, and God bless.